Hello, everyone, and good morning from Santa Clara, California. I want to welcome you all to the latest installment of the webinar that we host annually, What Matters in Digital Marketing This Year, brought to you by Milestone Inc. While we wait for folks to join in at the last minute, I'm just going to go over a few quick notes about today's presentation. As per usual, we have muted everyone to avoid any audio disturbance during the webinar. However, if you find you have questions about any of the content as we go through this presentation, please feel free to ask us by making use of GoToWebinar's chat box. There's no need for you to wait until the end of the webinar. You can just go ahead and post your questions, and we will address them during our Q&A session at the end of the presentation. If we run short on time, we can answer any remaining questions on our blog. Additionally, this webinar is being recorded so that we can give you access to a version of it that you can share with your colleagues. And you can expect to receive an email with a link to that in the next few days. Lastly, since you're attending this webinar, you will get access to our ebook along with the slide deck and Q&A. And without further delay, let me introduce who's on the call today. My name's Jake Brennan. I'm from Milestone Santa Clara office, and I will be your humble moderator for today's presentation. And I have the pleasure of introducing Benu Aggarwal, the founder and president of Milestone. Benu is a respected expert in digital strategy. She manages our products and technology here at Milestone, and under her leadership, we've launched award-winning sites and software products that help our clients succeed. And also sitting with us, Walter Poliska, Milestone's VP of Marketing. Walter brings more than 25 years of experience in sales and marketing for enterprise software to Milestone. He oversees our marketing organization and is responsible for both our product marketing and demand generation functions. Benu and Walter, welcome to the table. Thank you, Jake. Now, for anyone that might be new to our webinars, let me just take a moment to talk about Milestone and what we do. We're leading providers of digital marketing software and services for hospitality, retail, and finance. We provide a full range of solutions, including web and mobile design, content creation, SEO, analytics, and competitive intelligence. Our best-in-class technology and solutions drive revenue and ROI for clients across the globe. We've done business with over 2,000 companies, including leading hotel chains, major retailers, and financial services companies. Milestone has garnered over 300 awards and a reputation for blending outstanding design with advanced technological capabilities. All right, so we've got a lot to cover today. Remember, if you have any questions, please go ahead and type them into the chat box as your questions come up, and we can address them at the end. We're the only ones who can see those questions, so don't be shy. And without further ado, Walter is going to start us off.
Thank you, Jake. Thank you for that great introduction. Welcome, everybody, to the webinar. I'd like to welcome all of our customers, any potential future customers that are attending this webinar, as well as, of course, a friendly welcome to all of our competitors that are on the webinar as well. So let's get into the webinar here. So let's start with a very quick introduction. Today, we're going to talk about the keys to success for 2018 in digital marketing. We're going to focus on mobile first and how mobile first design is taking center stage, how you align content with your customer journey, and how to really plan your content strategies. Some of the changes that we see coming in 2018 in the world of search engine optimization. We'll talk then about personalized paid media campaigns and the role of personalization in paid media for 2018. We'll then finish off the webinar with conversations around driving direct business and how you can use new tools and techniques to increase your direct business. And then finally, we'll wrap it up with a conversation around omnichannel marketing and the strategies around omnichannel marketing. Now, before we get into the webinar itself, into the meat of the webinar, we'd like to start with a very quick overview of the modern customer journey. Now, the customer journey is becoming increasingly more complex. In the example that you see on the screen, we have a hypothetical consumer, Amy, who's searching for hotels with a spa in New York. She's probably going to see a number of SEO as well as paid listings. She's going to click on one of them, go to a website, read the relevant content, but is probably not going to book the first time she's on that website. Now, of course, as a business, you've got shopping cart abandonment or revenue recovery software on your website. So you've probably captured her email and you're now sending her personalized email campaigns through your revenue recovery campaigns getting her to understand more about your business. You're also probably engaging in retargeting, so you're showing her spa offers as Amy visits additional websites like Facebook, and giving her a continuously improved overview of your business. As she continues through her purchasing cycle, Amy is eventually going to be enticed to book. She's going to do a branded search for your specific property. She's going to come to your website most likely and book directly from you for her stay. Of course, at this point, you've converted this customer, but this does not conclude the purchasing life cycle. Amy is now in the experience part of her journey, and now you have an opportunity to provide her with additional offers, perhaps to cross-sell her on Facebook for additional upsell campaigns. And after seeing some offers for spa upgrades, Amy is going to book a spa upgrade and now convert to an even more profitable customer for you. Now, of course, the customer journey that I've just laid out is specific to the hospitality industry, but if you're in banking, if you're in retail, any consumer-facing business is going to have very similar experiences and very similar processes that customers go through. The details may change, but the processes and the techniques and the marketing strategies that you're going to use are going to be very similar. So that gives us a very quick introduction. So now, without further ado, let me hand it over to Benu, who's going to walk us through mobile first and start us on the in-depth part of the webinar. Benu?
Thank you, Walter. So now we saw complicated customer journey or Amy's journey. Let's break it down. How can we do this? How can we do, or what can we do to make sure that customer journey Amy is going through, she can find your business, your asset easily. But before I start, thank you again to all the customers who have joined today for joining this webinar. If there is any question, please do reach out. So let's start with mobile first. Mobile first is, we all know that mobile search has already gone over 50%. So 50% or more searches are coming from mobile devices, mobile searches today. And that means we have to prioritize mobile design over desktop design. Now, what does that really mean? So this is a classic design which is done keeping desktop intent in mind, where we took everything for a desktop and shoved it in, put it on a mobile device type, and every single thing is scaled based on the screen type for a desktop. Now, the reason this design does not work for customer who's on a mobile device, because it's not optimized for mobile intent. Now, if I go to a next slide, here is an example of a design which is really optimized for mobile intent, where I'm highlighting, where I'm prioritizing every single action my mobile customer is going to take. As all of you know, that Google has already announced last year that they are going to be prioritizing mobile indexing first, which means content on your mobile device is going to be indexed faster and have a higher indexing as compared to your desktop design or desktop site. So design here, or a site here, if you look at it, every single thing which customer is doing, from book now to map to looking at the room's information or reservation, every single thing is just a fingertip away. And that's really what I mean by mobile first design, where design is almost like an app. It's very intuitive, it's very custom to your liking, and it's prioritized based on your action on that device. Second thing, when it comes to mobile and taking share away from mobile device, is really your speed. And speed is an iterative process. It's constantly we are making sure that the site has to be downloaded fast on a mobile device, and that's why a lot of search engines and every single algorithm is supporting fast website, which is going to download fast. Now, when site is downloaded, it's not only what's on the site, it's also all the scripts which could be making your site really slow to download. There are several tools available which Google has or Milestone has, and several third-party tools such as Test My Speed and things like that, where you can go and test how your site is downloaded or what is the speed of your site. If you go to test my site with Google, it will even give you a very good breakdown of what's wrong on a mobile device, what's wrong on when it comes to usability, when it comes to scripts, every single thing you can test. And what we recommend is your site needs to be somewhere between good to excellent. It's really, really hard to get every single thing into excellent, but if you can get there, that's really our goal. But constantly checking your site and ensuring that your site is not slow to download. As we all know, 50% of consumer will leave if your site takes more than 3 seconds to download. Now, towards that, we would also recommend doing AMP pages. So AMP pages stands for Accelerated Mobile Pages. AMP pages sits on top of the conversion funnel, and really the reason Google released AMP pages because they wanted to provide most important information to consumers fast without having to load a lot of heavy graphics and things like that. And we did one of the case study Milestone did with Google was on AMP pages, but it's really, you do see amazing conversion if AMP pages are done for most important information. Now here is the algorithm which was released, or algorithm chart released by Google. As you see that every single, and this is for last year, they are releasing the new one sometime in February. But last year till December, they had said that in October they're going to roll out mobile first index, and then they're going to roll out PWA, and then they're going to prioritize HTTPS and voice search. So there is definitely a huge impact. The reason Google is releasing all these algorithms because customers are moving more and more on mobile first. They are moving more, interacting more with the device. So keeping these algorithms in mind, here are some other things, few other things I would recommend to prioritize this year. PWA. So this is, PWA stands for Progressive Web App. So really, it's for consumers, having to download one more app is another pain. It's really painful to download an app and then deinstall the app. PWA is a technology after your site is converted or is HTTPS, is a technology which can enable you as a business to connect with your customer as soon as they come to your mobile device. And it's very reliable, it's very engaging, and it's very, very fast. So what happens is as soon as customer comes to your site, if your site has PWA enabled, they get a prompt. That prompt makes your site to be downloaded downloaded on a device, and you have ability to send out push notification and engage with your customer as needed. And this technology can be used to send out last minute offer. That can also be used to re-engage your customers who might have come and visited and stayed with your property through OTA, but now you want to connect with these customers directly. Remember, the biggest benefit of PWA is that you don't need internet access. Once your site gets cached onto a device type, your customer can access your site anytime, anywhere. Second biggest advantage of PWA is that you can reach your customer anytime through push notification, and they don't have to download any app to do that. It's just a little opt-in. Last thing I would say, and again, there are lot more information I have given in the ebook, which is going to be released on Monday, but I would say is prioritizing content based on location. So this is a new app. This is one of my favorite apps, which is Facebook Local App. Facebook Local App integrates really well with all the events happening within your neighborhood and also all the destination guides and things like that. So it takes all the events by my friends or the events I'm hosting, integrate that with all the local events happening, and integrate that with a lot of destination guides. Now, really key is, as a business, we need to rank high in 3 paths. And it's really, nobody has cracked down the algorithm of ranking high in feedback. We can all speculate, and we can always say that this works or not. What we have seen is, if your site has really good indexing, if your site downloads really well, if you have amazing local content, you have a lot of good reviews and things like that, there is a high chance that you will rank high in local feedback. Okay, and that leads to my second trend, which is really content. Now, in my opinion, design does not come first. Content comes first, because content needs to be aligned with our customer journey. So there are 4 phases of our customer journey, or micro moment, which is really our dreaming moment, planning, booking, and experience. When we are creating content, it's critical that content is just not created for booking. And what do I mean by that is, we are just not creating content which talks about me and my property or my business. We need to create content which is really going to help customers provide those solutions or give them those answers. So what do I mean by that? Let's look at this as a case study. As we all know that 80% of the queries are informational queries. And if we are creating content which is based on information intent, then the chances are we will do really, really well in non-branded keywords. So our content strategy needs to be aligned with what are our customers looking for. So here is a quick case study for one of our property, one of the brands we work with in Kabul, where our team figured out that everything customer was looking for, from whether to what is the best time to go to that area. And based on all those questions, they came up with hundreds of questions, surrounded these questions with schemas, and added those questions on their pages. And in the last 1 year, their non-branded content has gone up, has shown phenomenal increase. And that's really what I mean by understanding what our customers are looking for. And when they're coming to your area, when they're interacting with your business, there are a lot of different tools. You can always go to Moz tool, you can use Milestone tool, you can go to Answer the Public, but your paid campaign, your organic campaign, content strategy, social media campaign, all of those campaigns need to be focused on informational intent, because that's what is going to give the highest top of the funnel traffic and highest non-branded presence and relevancy. Now, once we have content creation strategies outlined, then understanding what do my customers really admire about myself. So here is another tool which our team uses. We just go to TripAdvisor and figure out how reviews are categorized. If reviews are categorized based on types of bed or restaurant, or what are customers really looking for, or how all the reviews are integrated with different amenities and different things hotel is offering, and using those categorizations to write our content. So that means we are aligning our content with user sentiment. We are already, the key is to study user sentiment when we are writing content and creating all the digital assets to align content. And that comes to my next slide, is when you're creating digital assets, let's make our customer part of creating content with us. Let them add information, let them take a picture, upload a picture, let them be part of uploading videos, let them be part of sharing pictures or Snapchat filters or Instagram stories, because interaction with content with our customer and leads to engagement leads to more conversion. Here's an example of how you can take a lot of your digital assets, such as your dynamic feeds, such as your event calendars. A lot of these digital assets can be aligned, keeping customer engagement in mind and ensuring that we are thinking about every single stage of customer journey when we are creating content and aligning our digital assets. And I've given more example in our ebook, so definitely download the ebook. There are more examples of how to create content which is conversational, how to create content, create content which aligns with your digital assets, which aligns with your social media. Now, once you create all this content, how do you measure the impact? And here are some of the metrics. Again, if you're working with the agency, absolutely ask them to provide you some of these metrics. If you are in-house, use that as the performance criteria. What is the time on site? If you're creating content, good sticky content, your time on site should increase. Your bounce rate should go down. Your branded and non-branded keyword performance should go up. Your CTR absolutely should go up. So here are some of the key performance areas, which is a key performance indicator, which can be used to judge how important content is and how content is performing on different channels. Okay, so that leads me into my next section, which is SEO in 2018. And I know there are a lot of clients who've been with Milestone for 20 years, and I've been doing SEO before when Google was in literally their garage. And SEO has evolved quite a bit. SEO is not about links anymore. It's not about keyword ranking anymore. It is really all about user experience. And here are 7 most critical elements when it comes to SEO. A lot of these elements I have defined, explained in our ebook, but in nutshell, number 1, user experience. What's most important to your user? Number 2, especially for hospitality industry, ADA. ADA is not about just your property, it's about ensuring your website is ADA conforming. Number 3, huge trend for this year, especially with voice search really getting to the next stage, is getting to 0 position. Number 4, content marketing with link building. It's not getting just a bunch of links. How do you align content marketing with link building? Number 5 would be enhancing your local presence. And again, we will be giving a lot more examples are in the ebook. How do you enhance your visual content, and how do you create your social and local relevancy, which leads to higher conversion? To start with user experience. And again, I don't want to keep reinforcing quick speed. It's like going to a gym. You are going to check it almost every single week. What's happening to your site? Because there could be things you are doing on your site or might not be doing on your site, like adding script on Google Tag Manager, which might be impacting your speed. So absolutely must have checking your speed of your site every single week. Architecture. How's your site getting crawled? We just launched a huge portal site, and what we realized is as we were launching the site, there were a lot of dynamic pages which needed to be 301 redirected, which was really important to catch all of these things right away to ensure that your website architecture is enabling full indexing of your site. Now, how your site is working on 3 different devices. Is it getting crawled properly? Is it getting rendered properly? Is the tags are working properly? Do they have the right hierarchy? Are you really satisfying the intent of your customer when they search for information? And do you have those magical schemas? And again, I've explained a lot of those schemas in ebook, but do you have most critical schemas aligned with your industry? I'm sure if you are a Milestone customer, you already know about schemas. If you are not, please go to schemas.org. You can find out most relevant schemas. You can always check out a lot of articles and presentation by me on schemas and which schemas work for your industry. Now, going into ADA. As I said, ADA is not about just property being ADA conforming. There are steps you can take to ensure that your site is ADA conforming. ADA has different standards, AAA conforming, AA conforming. There are a lot of steps you need to do. For example, you can't do easy navigation, or you have to make sure your reservation menu has certain parameters to ensure that it is compliant with ADA best practices, your keyboard accessibility forms, your mouse click actions and things like that, the colors and things like that. So if your property has a lot of this business or is impacted because of ADA, absolutely must have to look into ADA conforming digital assets. Number 2 is, how do you make sure that whatever you have at your property or for your business is constantly pushed in most important search engines and directories, which is really your hours of operation, your amenities, your things happening in your neighborhood, which is constantly, not once a year, once a month, constantly, almost real time pushed into knowledge graph, into all the search engines and all the maps. So for example, right here, we are pushing information into knowledge graph, putting information. Google Post is a brand new feature which is released by GMV, where you can put information, and this is only for restaurant, different verticals, not for hotels, but you can put information and this post stays there for 30 days, or hours of operation, or information such as indoor pool or Wi-Fi and things like that. Now, this information comes from your property, goes into most critical data aggregator search engines, and real time gets updated into knowledge graphs and things like that, which impact your local 3-pack ranking, which impact your knowledge graph ranking, and things like that. And voice search. Voice search is, again, huge. I'm sure everybody knows that Google has released a rater's guide. Google's rater guide now works on voice search. What that means is people making sure that your site is voice compatible. They are searching that on a voice devices, which means that the content you are writing on your site needs to be voice compatible. Now, it was funny, I was talking to Walter yesterday, and I said, Walter, what exactly is that MoMA?
The Museum of Modern Art, New York.
Okay, so does that mean that when I'm writing content on my website, should I really say Museum of Modern Art, or should I say Museum of Modern Art, bracket, MoMA, because that's what my customers are looking for. So let's ensure that your content is optimized for voice search. If you download my ebook, it will have a lot of information on steps you can take to optimize your content, to ensure that your content is written for conversational search, not written for just keyword search. And next thing is that, how do you get your content to be ranking for zero positioning? Now, it's really all about ensuring your site has right schema, architecture is right, it's ranking high. Like you said, like you see here, in 500,000 searches, amazing content. It's even beating TripAdvisor. We would love to beat TripAdvisor any day in terms of top ranking, but it's because it has right schema, information is crawlable, and content is what customer is looking for. So good content backed with great site architecture and backed with relevant information. Now, in my opinion, schema has always been a backbone of voice search and search visibility, but it's also a backbone for voice search and doing really, really well in voice and zero positioning. Now, as we are thinking about voice search, what are some of the other things businesses can do to ensure that their digital assets are completely designed keeping conversational intent in mind? So let's think about what problem we are solving for business. And let's create our content, our digital assets, everything we are doing based on the problem we are trying to solve for any business, for our customers. So right here, here's an example of one of our clients where one of the biggest problem is or one of the problems they are trying to solve is their proximity to airport, and how would they make sure that people who are looking for hotels near airport or eating near airport, their website can be ranking high. And this is one of the things you can do, is capture every single question customer is asking through Answer the Public, going at a front desk, maybe using MOS tools, several other tools. You can use Milestone Insight, but really find out every single thing customer is asking about your location, about your business, about things to do, about dining, about airport, and let's provide answers. So your content is more about providing answers and wrapping that answer nicely with schema. Here is, I am doing a voice search session in SMS Advanced or SMS West next month in March. So if you are in Bay Area, absolutely join in. If not, please email us. Happy to send you information, more information on voice search. How do you optimize 10-step process of optimizing, creating your true very first voice search compatible conforming website. Now, the other big problem, which is an opportunity for Milestone or for anybody, is how do you make sure that we can be there when customers are looking for you? So, for example, your customer wants to chat with you through Knowledge Graph. Now, they also want to chat with you through Facebook. They also want to chat with you through WeChat. Then we have a customer who has added WhatsApp on their website. There are 1,500 other ways customer likes to chat with you. And it opens up a huge opportunity for businesses, because all these chat messages are sending information, and business needs to respond to these messages. So here are some things that businesses can do, where they can take all these chat messages, integrate them with ChatBot. Whatever information ChatBot is not able to answer can be answered through Live Agent. And whatever information Live Agent is answering and ChatBot is answering can be published on a website along with the schema. And whatever information is published on a schema can be used to train ChatBot. So what really we are doing is we are automating, we are using artificial intelligence ChatBot to answer our customers, but at the same time, we are not taking human element away. We are also integrating that with a live chat and using that content to publish it on a website so that your site can truly become voice search compatible. More information in the ebook, but great way to optimize for voice search, making sure you are solving customer problems, also taking advantage of artificial intelligence, and also taking advantage of all the new technology, chatbots, and all the new technology different search engines are offering, and then integrating all that in one unified platform. Go ahead, Walter.
Okay, so thank you, Benu. So at this point, I'll take over and we'll talk a little bit about paid media and personalization strategies in the paid media world. So we talked already a couple of times during the course of the webinar about mapping your goals to your business goals to everything that you do as a business. The same logic holds true when you're talking about paid media campaigns. You start off as a business by saying, what's really important to me? Is getting new customers more important to me? Is maximizing return on investment more important to me? If new customer acquisition is more important, then obviously I'm going to be far more concerned about awareness and consideration stages of the customer journey than I am about conversion. Inversely, if maximizing ROI is important, then I want to make sure that my business is not going mostly through affiliates like OTAs, for example, but that business is converting directly on my website. That means I'm going to be far more concerned about conversion and engagement parts of the customer journey than I am about awareness and consideration. Once you have that mapped out, the next step is to then say, okay, based on where I'm putting the heavier part of my spend, what are the important channels that I'm going to be leveraging? If I'm worried about maximizing return on investment and driving direct revenue, then things like remarketing and branded search are going to be very critical for me. Inversely, if I'm more concerned with customer acquisition, in-market display, and meta search and social are going to be tools that I'm going to be using on a pretty extensive basis. Once you have the strategy and the channels mapped out, the next step is to really personalize campaigns and to begin the process of segmenting your audiences. One of the trends that I think you're seeing as we're going through this webinar today is that throughout the whole process, whether you're talking about chatbots and artificial intelligence being applied to that data, or whether you're talking about things like personalized media campaigns, and then as you see a little bit later on when we talk about personalization on websites, the whole notion of segmenting your data, personalizing information, using systems like artificial intelligence, machine learning to improve that experience for customers is very important. Within paid media, personalizing those paid media campaigns through segmentation is critical. That means taking into account things like what is the online purchase history of your consumers? What is their offline purchase history? What are the website behaviors that they engaged in? What social interactions that they have, and what are their psychographic, their behavioral attributes? Taking all of those things and creating the segments that you then want to target. And speaking of segmented purchasing behavior, there's lots of ways you can look at it, but broadly speaking, we like to look at it from three perspectives. The first one is you're going to want to look for prospects. So this is gaining new customers. In this particular type of segmentation, you're looking for similar audiences. You basically want to create segments that look very similar to people that have purchased products from you before. The second group that you want to target are what we call reactivation. So these are, this is repeat business. Customers that have previously stayed with you, that you want to re-engage back with your property or with your business, whether you're a retailer, whether you're a hotel. If you're a hotel, you're using loyalty programs to get people to come back to your hotel and book directly the next time around. If you're a retailer, you're sending campaigns and offers to sell new products and services to that particular customer that has purchased from your business before. And then finally, retargeting. This is taking techniques like shopping cart abandonment and other techniques to basically do two things. Number one, upsell packages to existing customers that may have already purchased. And two, retarget people that have abandoned your shopping cart or your booking process. They came to your hotel website, they started the booking process, they left. Now you want to send them a special offer to get them to convert. Same thing on a retailer, sending them special offers to get them to come back to that shopping cart and complete that transaction.
Thank you, Walter. That's actually a very good way of thinking about how can, in this year, how do we increase contribution of our direct business? So it's absolutely fine we used OTA to get business, but let's make sure that we are constantly engaging with our customer to increase business, take business away from OTA. So here are a few things you can do. Number one is that how your OTA visit is, how you have your OTA information, which is really you versus you, your rate versus your competition, or your rate on your site and your rate on third-party sites. So giving confidence to your customer that the rate on your site is the lowest rate, rather than anywhere else or anywhere else they can find. So that confidence is what is going to help improve conversion on your site. We have deployed that on milestone sites, and we have seen phenomenal increase whenever you have a price comparison, or even just the lowest rate guaranteed information or incentives to book direct. So along with retargeting, making sure you have incentives to book direct, your retargeting campaign, re-engaging customers through PWA, through push notification, also deploying abandonment module where you're really capturing everyone who could not book, they visited your website, did not book, on your site, constantly going back and asking them to book direct rather than booking through any other channel. And also personalizing information. So based on your CRM data. So as I said early on, it's absolutely fine. We gain that business through OTA. Now what can we do to take that business and convert that business directly? Which means how can we dissect and bisect data of our customers who have stayed with us from our CRM, and personalized information based on their geolocation, based on when they got to our website, based on their purchase history, based on their buying behavior, based on their keywords, and really offer them really, really customized and personalized experience. And that would be a key in 2018. That how do we shift a share, gain higher share, get higher share direct, having customer book directly with you rather than booking through OTA. And that leads me to my very last trend, which is really omni-channel strategy. There are so many things, so many tactics, there are so many strategies in place, but end of the day, in 2018, goal is to have holistic strategy aligning with customer goals. And this is what we struggle every single day too, like any other company. The customer has goals, because every business has their goal, and everything we are doing across hundreds of departments and things like that, they should all be aligned with customer goals. And here is a simple metric: your strategy calendar, which is not based on each channel, which is not based on tools, which is really not based on tactics you're deploying, which is really only based on your goal as a customer. So let's make sure that if you're working in-house or you're working with any agency or any vendor, outline the goal and outline how are you going to measure the performance. What are your goals? How are you going to measure the performance? And based on that, strategy calendar needs to highlight how are those goals aligned with the strategies deployed by one agency or different agencies, and how all the tactics which we deployed align with the strategies works well towards accomplishing your goal, and how are we going to measure impact? How are we going to make sure that there is a solid impact for impact insight? So for example, if content strategy is one of the things we need to deploy, that needs to be aligned with gaining new visitors. Or if it's OTA, gaining direct business from OTA is one of the goals we need to accomplish, then several campaigns, start to finish, need to have holistic strategy towards gaining OTA business. So right here, as I said, this is not based on any channel. This is keeping one goal in mind. You can have these omni-channel strategies for special events, or it can be for need period, or it can be throughout the year where you have a very well-defined strategy calendar month by month, focused on your goal, measuring your goal and impact end of the day.
Thank you, Benu. So at this point, before we open the webinar up for questions, let's finish up with a few takeaways. So let's start with what are the key takeaways from the webinar. Well, number one is we talked about at the beginning of the webinar, that Benu pointed out, start thinking mobile first. Mobile first is more than just responsive content. It's really content and design based on user intent and creating an app-like user experience. After all, that's where users learn how to use their mobile phone. That's the type of experience that they're expecting even when they come to your website. The second big takeaway is make sure that your content is aligned with the customer journey. So make sure that you create content that thinks about and that satisfies all of the various touch points and all of the various needs that customers have throughout the customer journey. The big takeaway from SEO is that it's no longer just about links. SEO is about user experience, it's about thinking about voice search and aligning your business goals to the strategies they're using in SEO. In paid media, we talked about the personalization component, we talked about segmentation, we talked about making sure that, once again, everything you do in paid media is aligned with the business goals that you're creating as an organization for yourself. Then we talked about driving direct business and some of the technology that you can leverage on your website, like shopping comparison widgets, like shopping cart abandonment, to try and get people to convert directly. You've spent a lot of time and energy to try and get these people to your website. Do the best that you can to try and get them to convert. And then finally, we talked about omnichannel strategies that are really designed around strategic calendars and tactical calendars, and making sure that everything you do is designed around a plan that is, once again, starting from the business goals that you created for yourself as a business. Now, before we open up for question, a couple of quick reminders. The first one is, watch your inbox. As we said at the beginning, we're going to be sending out a complimentary ebook, first access to all of the folks that attended this webinar before we publish it publicly to the rest of the world. The second one is join us for upcoming webinars. We have not settled on dates yet, but we will be drilling down on all of the various topics that we talked about today, including mobile first, tying goals and strategy and tactics to your content, driving direct business to your website. I'm not going to repeat them all, but all of the various things that we talked about today, we're going to be digging down deeper into a series of webinars through the course of the year. So stay tuned, watch our website, watch your email inbox for additional announcements from us on that front. And the last thing I want to talk about, which is also very important, now this is specific to the hospitality folks. February 21st, of course, is HSMAI's Digital Marketing Conference in New York at the Marriott. Milestone will be hosting a complimentary 3-hour session the day before on the 20th in the same hotel. Watch your inbox for more information from us. We're hosting 3 different sessions, one on website technologies and how you can use website technologies to enable a next generation consumer experience. The second session, diving deeper into ROI and segmentation and personalization with paid media. So we'll be going a little bit deeper on what that means and how you do it. And then the final session on using competitive analysis and analytics, really the measurement part of this whole conversation. Taking all of the information that you have, all of the data that you have from your campaigns, from your website, and how do you leverage that data to really understand what's happening to your business and make better decisions. Fully complimentary, free of charge. Watch your inbox. We'll be inviting you, and we hope that all of you will come and join us for these special events. So at this point, let's open up for any questions. Jake?
All right. Thank you, Walter. Thank you, Benu. Remember, everybody, we've got the webinar recording coming in, and you're going to get access to the ebook, the slides, the Q&A. We've already had a few questions come in, so if you need any clarifications on any of the topics that we discussed today, go ahead and just type it into the chat box, and we'll get right into it. The first question I have here is, what is a branded keyword? Benu, do you want to take that?
Branded keyword is when somebody is searching for your name, and that would be a branded keyword. For example, if somebody is searching for milestone and they would type in milestone, that would be a branded keyword.
Got it. So the name of your hotel.
Name of your property, name of your business, name of your executive, name of your assets would be a branded keyword.
Okay, great. Next question we have here, what is ADA? ADA is the Americans with Disabilities Act, but maybe Walter, could you explain why it's significant?
Sure, that's an excellent question. So one of the struggles that I think a lot of business owners have, especially in the hospitality industry, everyone in the hospitality industry pretty much understands the need for ADA on their property. You want to make sure that people with disabilities can have access to their room, have access to your hotel, have access to all of the various features that are available on your property. But how does that translate to your website? Why do you need ADA on your website? Well, it turns out that almost more, actually, than 20% of Americans have some form of a disability. It may be a visual disability, a hearing impairment, and we don't think about it sometimes as people who are used to using the web. Things like you have a video and it doesn't have subtitles. Or maybe your website is difficult to navigate unless you have a full control of the keyboard and mouse. Those are just a couple of examples of some of the things about ADA conformity in your website that, number one, not only can potentially cause legal problems for you. Many hotels over the course of the last few years have been sued for lack of ADA conformity on their website. But also you're alienating 20% of your potential customer base by not giving them proper access to your website. So that's what that's all about.
ADA, very important. Okay. So the next question here, what is the basis of ROI numbers, ROI?
Excellent question. So ROI, return on investment, lots of different ways that you can calculate it. The simplest, it really depends on the individual campaigns that you're using and where you're measuring ROI. The simplest overall definition that I can give you is it's how much money are you getting from that investment that you've made, what's your revenue that you got out of it, what was the cost, and what was that percentage of return based on that investment that you made. Now, if the question was more specific to, I believe the question came up during that slide when we had some ROI numbers that said 7x, 1x, 3x. If the question was how did we come up with those numbers, those were example numbers. They were not detailed to any specific one sample, so they were kind of guidance more than anything else.
All right. Thanks, Walter. Next question I have here. Mobile search is already outpacing desktop searches. How critical is it to be designing for mobile first?
Absolutely, must have. That's what, and I think there is a very big confusion between responsive and adaptive and mobile first. Mobile first, as I said in my very first slide, is designing for mobile intent. And yes, it is exceptionally critical that you do think about your mobile user. Mobile design or mobile first design, there is no formula here. You just have to study your consumer, you have to study your user and prioritize what they are looking for and design it accordingly.
Thank you. Next question here. What practical applications are there of AI in hotel marketing today? In the next year, in the next 3 years? What can you guys think of?
I think the example I had given, it is going to become increasingly hard for hotel or any business to interact with their customer, because customer wants to interact with you not just by calling, but they want to interact with you on Facebook, they want to interact with you through Knowledge Graph, they want to interact with you on WhatsApp, and 100 other form of chat messaging platform. Now that is one place I can say AI can be really helpful. I'm sure there are 100 others, but that's one place where AI can be really useful, where you can integrate your voice attendant, integrate all these questions with one single platform and make sure that every time customer is asking these questions can be answered through AI.
Thank you. The next question. At what stage of the user journey, dream, plan, book experience, does the traveler start considering researching price to come to a decision?
I think people are not thinking now. Again, that is my overall, and I could be wrong, but people are not really thinking about price when they are planning or when they are dreaming. Yes, absolutely. During the plan, when they are planning, price absolutely comes in. But when they are dreaming about their vacation, they are thinking about where to go and what to do. So I would probably say during the planning moment is when they're considering price as a main criteria.
Planning time for price.
Yeah.
Next question. Can Milestone help me create a chatbot for my website and social media accounts?
Well, absolutely. But it is something we are working on for few of our customers. So it is not a product we have released yet. But again, this webinar was just to make sure what's coming. Eventually, end of this year or sometime middle of this year, we will have a fully voice-compatible conforming website with chatbot integration, but it is not open for every customer. There are just few customers who are in a beta, and we are working with them.
Awesome. So look forward to that. We've still got more questions coming in here, and we are running short on time, but go ahead and keep entering them in. What is one takeout you would highlight of the most significant opportunity or challenge for hotel marketing going forward?
I would say prioritize your goals and align all the strategies and tactics based on these goals, because there are so many things you can do. How do you make sure anything you are doing when it comes to digital marketing that's helping you accomplish your goals?
Okay, one attendee is asking, could we briefly review how the customer is searching today, all the different ways they're searching today? I guess there was a little bit of confusion.
How are they searching? There are a lot of tools available where you can find out what are customers searching or what are customers looking for. What I think example I gave in the webinar was Answer the Public, Moz tool, Milestone Insight tool, which can give you real time what are customers looking for.
Okay. How do the schemas work for hospitality businesses?
Schema works the same for any business, whether it's hospitality, travel, or any other business. The way it works is most critical information about your business needs to be wrapped around schema. You can go to schema.org, find out most critical elements, which is outlined by schema.org by each vertical, and ensure that your content on your site is wrapped with those tags. And that's how it would work for any business. Hospitality is not special. Yes, we do a lot of work in hospitality, but we also do a lot of work in bank, and it works the same way.
Let me ask you, Benu, a related question, because I know this question, I don't know if anybody has asked it yet, but it comes up quite a bit, especially in the hospitality business. Why do I need schemas all over my website? Isn't it just enough to have a basic hotel schema on my homepage and just to say what my physical address is? Why do I need all these other schemas that Mouse talks about?
Actually, it's really, really good question. Schema is really a fundamental for artificial intelligence, for all the new algorithm Google is launching, because through schema, information is captured, or information is taken from your website, put into Google Index, and when Google is rolling out all these algorithms, that critical information is taken because it's secured through schema. So that's why it's important to keep going to schema.org and reviewing all the new schemas released, or all the new tags which schema.org is releasing. Having one or two schemas is not sufficient. In fact, every single month, schema.org is updating new definitions. It's important that as a business, we go back and update these schemas to ensure that we are not getting a penalty, but we are complying with latest information released by such. So yes, that's the way everything is moving. If you don't have schema, that means your site is not going to be available for all these amazing Google algorithm and all the search algorithms.
And you need to be constantly updating and checking your schemas.
Yes, sure and there are a lot of free tools available. Milestone Insight is there. Rich Snippet testing tool by Google is there. There are several tools available which will give you if your schemas are aligned with latest search guidelines. And it's also available in Search Console, where Google will give you up to date every single day if your schemas are aligned or not.
Thank you, Benu. And just so you know, for everybody who's asking if the webinar will be available, yes, we are going to post a recording of this webinar, and if you attended today, we will email you a link to that recording. Okay, so going on, next question here. What is the one thing that an independent hotel can do to decrease dependence on the OTA channels and grow direct business?
Well, it's really, really hard for me to tell you one thing, but absolutely make sure your rates you have the best rates. You are re-engaging with customers who are coming through OTA. You also have your campaigns where you are using some of the strategies which OTA deploy in your campaign strategy. You also have lowest rates guarantee and book direct benefit right on your site, booking abandonment information. Milestone will be doing a standalone webinar only on OTA, and we will be sharing more information on how to gain traffic away or business away from OTA and increase your book direct business.
Great. Look forward to that. Questions are slowing down here, but we still have a minute or two, so if you have any questions, try and get it in quickly. What can hotel marketers learn from other industries and verticals? What should other industries learn from hotels?
I can maybe take a stab at answering that, Benu. I would basically, from my perspective, put it into two terms. So let's look at first on the hospitality side. What can hotels learn from other industries? A lot of the techniques and technologies that we've talked about today, personalization, segmentation, using artificial intelligence to provide more advanced interactions, personalization of your website, of campaigns that you're doing. A lot of these shopping cart abandonment, a lot of these techniques were born in the retail industry. Retailers, especially larger retailers, have been very sophisticated in how they've been targeting their consumers, how they've been working with consumers, how they've been getting consumers to come back to their website to complete transactions. We can take a lot of those same technologies and techniques, and one of the benefits of Milestone working across all these industries is we've learned a lot of these techniques by working with retailers and with other verticals, and those can be now applied to the hospitality vertical. To flip it, I think the one thing that the hospitality industry can probably teach effectively to other verticals is the dedication and attention to the customer and what's important to that particular customer. So really paying a lot of attention to the requirements of that customer, the benefits that you provide as a business. The hospitality industry, I think, does a fantastic job of that. Benu, I don't know if you have any different take on the question.
I think that's good.
Awesome. Thanks, Walter. With that, we are about out of time here. Thank you, everybody, for attending. Thank you, Walter and Benu. Great presentation today. And we hope to hear from all of you in future webinars. Thanks so much. Take care.
Thank you, everybody.